Okay, so if you've seen this video, feel free to click off. I'm pretty sure many people have probably left the stream right now. All 5 of you, hi, how you doing? Thanks for sticking around. And you should definitely tune in to check the links in the description, all that good stuff. So I'm told this video is really bad. I'm going in blind, but I will say, this seems to be a little bit of a reoccurring theme in the Project Moon community, where some way, somehow, one way or another, a character in a season is a predator. Now, I want to read the description real briefly. Do not use my analysis for harassment. I do not want anyone to be hurt with my content, even if they disagree with how I read this character. That's what we're doing right now. So I don't want any harassment. This is clearly someone who feels passionate enough to make a video about this. And even though I might disagree, I'm going to try my best to not judge, be fair, and whatnot. And I'm just, looking forward to it, maybe. I just know a video starts off bad, and we're done stalling now, but you know it's bad when it opens with, you're allowed to like this character. But it's like I might not be. So, buckle up, Space Cowboys.
Disclaimer here, and okay, here we go. Hello, this is Void. I'd like to say before anything else that this video deals with sensitive topics such as sexual abuse and assault towards women and girls, grooming, incest, and...
Oh! What the fuck? What do you mean dissociation and amnesia? Where is the amnesia coming in? Hold up. My understand, because I don't know the OG art form, where it's from, or the book. I think it's Hellscape. I'm not familiar with that work. All I have to go off is Season 7. Oh, well, Canto 9. That's all I know about Rion. I've got to say, I do like the character. Could have been expanded on a little bit more. You know, it felt a little bit rushed near the end, but I feel like we got enough to have a good basis. What
this video
do
deals with
you mean? Hold on.
Such as sexual abuse and assault towards women and girls.
Hey, rape, sexual abuse, assault, misogyny, grooming, incest. What? Oh, yeah, misinfo. Okay, just that's how unfamiliar I am with the OG Yoshihide book. I don't even know what it's called. Where does this come into it?
Grooming and...
Okay, forced pregnancy. Okay, I can kind of maybe see this. I had a theory that Ayaka was Rion and Ryoshu's baby together, which, looking back on it, is kind of weird. So I can see how you could come to that conclusion. Religious trauma. Okay, no, I get this one. I actually kind of agree with this, because, you know, the Catholic Church, if you're a Christian, a good little Catholic boy like me, you know that churches are bad. They are cults. Yeah. Ableism, okay.
Death and pregnancy.
All other... Do you mean all other kinds of abuse? What? What?
If you think any of these topics are upsetting to the point you could be put in a bad
okay, no,
state,
let's carry on.
Now, I don't want anyone to hurt themselves with this. Also, sorry for the cassette ping tuber. I didn't feel like drawing my Sona over and over again for this.
That's fine.
Sorry about the shitty mic and the fan in the background. I live in a very hot area, and I'm just using my earbuds.
Also, I have a speech impediment. Please be nice.
That's totally fine. Once again, I'm autistic here. We're all autistic. You know, we played Limbus Company. We play gacha games, come on. Like, autism's rife. But no, yeah, once again, just try and be nice. You know? Autism, it's a struggle.
To me.
First, I'm going to give an overview.
Who is Rion? Why is he? Oh, God.
Next, we're going to look at this story, analyzing his implied sexual assault
how did he affect him? Okay, so it's Ryoshu.
As well as why I think Ryoshiki's memory mutilation could partly be a metaphor for dissociative amnesia. And
memory mutilation is a really cool phrase. Cool for a bad name. Metaphor for dissociative amnesia. Okay, I can see that with the... You know how she keeps phasing between all the ages because she was trapped in the safe. I can kind of see the mental disassociation there. Okay.
Finally, his treatment of Sora and how he perpetuates
for now they are cooking.
Death. Then we're going to look at common arguments that Rion defenders make. Finally, how the
debunking Rion defender and a conclusion.
My case. Okay. Very quickly though, I'll get something small out of the way. It's pronounced Rion, not Rion, not Ryan, Rion.
No, it's Rion. Video's bad. No, video so far. Okay, I like the explanation. I like that they've labeled out and structured how they want to do this. Rion, not Rion, not Ryan. Okay, that's fair. Rion. And I think Rion feels right, but that's fine. I don't think you should be telling people how to pronounce it, though. I think that's going to get a lot of people heated.
Do you pronounce it? Rien. 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 Rien is how you say it.
It's a French word meaning nothing. It's symbolic of how reliant he is on the prescripts and how he is a hollow shell of a human being. Okay, on to the video.
Oh, what the fuck? Rion 316, hold up. Who is Rion, and why is he a predator?
Rion is the main character of Kanto 9 and arguably the primary antagonist. Being the index nurse father, he had looked over Ryoshi since her birth and appears to have been the closest to her. However, despite this closeness, Ryoshi still lashed out at him and didn't show any sympathy.
I mean, she lashed out on all of them, to be fair. Like, they all showed love in different ways. It's just that Rion's probably felt the most quote-unquote authentic, even though he was putting on an act, because as we learned, he had a family before. And I feel like, looking back at it, he had the family for those 15 years to prepare him for the role of being the nurse father for Ryoshi.
For him when burning half of his face off. She calls him a bastard and warns others about him and has a clear dread upon first seeing him in Kanto 9. He is entirely devoted to the prescripts, allowing his wife
He's
and
also
child
really
to perish in a
handsome.
fire for the sake of following them.
Which,
He
I'll be
changed his
fair,
name,
I'll be
dyed his hair,
fair.
and started mimicking
That's how a
roles
lot
in the
of
prescripts
predators
as well.
get you. They are
His
handsome.
apprentice is Sora, who is fixated on him and wants to be his daughter.
Yo, Hans, how you doing? You've joined at a time where we're recording for YouTube, so everybody on YouTube, say hi to Hans. Hans, say hi to YouTube. We're watching a video about Rion being a predator. So far, I have no opinions, except I like how they've kind of structured this.
Now, I am of the opinion that each nurse father represents a different kind of child abuse that parents can inflict.
That's fair.
Matthias is symbolic of spoiling a child in an attempt to make up for or cover emotional absence.
True.
He's not there for emotionally.
Like the absentee father, they want to buy the love. That's fair. I think, what's her name? I keep saying Valencia. That Valentina, I think her way of child abuse or abuse is the emotional, manipulative parent. That kind. The Ring is just a fucking freak.
So he buys her whatever he thinks she wants, even if she doesn't actually want it. He's also shown to get extremely defensive to the point of physical violence over perceived slights to his daughter, even when she wants him to stop. Callisto is symbolic of exposing a child to violent, traumatic, or inappropriate material. His art can be seen as an allegory for exposure to domestic violence, drugs, pornography, or murder. Valentina is symbolic of...
Whoa. I was seen as an allegory for exposure to domestic violence, drugs, what?
Valentina is symbolic of both verbal and physical abuse.
There we go.
This is blatant. Shiomi Yoru is also symbolic of verbal abuse, but psychological abuse as well. Also blatant. So with all of these, there's only Rion remaining. I firmly believe that Rion is meant to be symbolic of a sexually abusive parent.
Okay, hold up. Hold up. Hold up, I'm sorry, hold up. My apologies, let me get my thoughts in order real quick. I think what's happened here is we've jumped to the conclusion. We've eliminated every other form of abuse that you can experience growing up as a child, and they've just associated, well, it's the only one left. Like, here's sexual abuse. Nobody else fits that criteria, so it has to be this one. I think that's what's happened here. Okay.
Specifically, a groomer who isolates, manipulates, and attempts to emotionally stunt their victim while...
Okay, this is the... Let's take our time finding out, shall we? We can save the ending for later. We read all these endings together once you grow up and become as old as daddy. I think that's just him wanting to spend time with his daughter. Or he perceives as a daughter, you know. In this case, we're taking it to cars, I believe, Project Moon. Yeah, no, and so you should. I think when you get to sexual abuse themes, you can really muddy the waters. And any form of abuse is a really difficult subject to handle. Well, in my opinion. Like, people can broach on it, like Goblin Slayer, Reader with a Healer. But more often than not, it's not gonna land, it's not gonna go well. And people are gonna look at him being, oh god, why was that there? It's uncomfortable to talk about and look at, but sometimes it has to be discussed. But I don't think this is applicable here.
Preying upon them throughout their childhood. Throughout the story, Rion calls Ryoshu sweetie, sweet.
Believe it or not, that's what you call somebody that you are quite fond of.
Heart and honey constantly. He puts on a kind face but becomes violent about keeping her tucked away in the house of spiders.
This guy keeps her violent, tucked away in house of spiders. As the days come, poised to predict my moves. You need to leave Darling because you've forgotten everything. You have nothing. This is your fate. I think that that's that, and this is this Roland reference. I think this is just because the Prescript... I think he's following the Prescript still, and that's why he's so adamant about keeping Ryoshu at the House of Spiders. Because Hermes is giving him this, and he's like, hey, follow it. Obviously, he's going to follow it. I think that's what's happened here. Nothing about what's going on here. Okay.
He just wanted to find the Prescript at the end of his life.
It's been 3 minutes. This has not felt like 3 minutes. This has felt like 17.
He hates the traits she takes after her mother, Shiomi Yoru, and who I believe that Rion sexually assaulted. Rion has
no, you can't say. Here's some helpful feedback, okay?
She takes after her mother,
right
Shiomi
here,
Yoru, and who I believe that
Rion's sexually assaulted. Okay? You can't present that as fact when you have said, my opinion. But you can't say, I think this is a fact. You just can't do that. It doesn't work. And I think that's the big issue there. If you've said something like, I don't know, there is evidence to support the possibility that Rion sexually assaulted Shiomaru, I think that would have the desired effect, rather than, I think this happened, so it happened.
Rion has no canonical age, but he had a wife and child at some point. Let's say that he had both at the age of 18 and lost them within the same year, then began raising Ryoshu immediately after. She would have been born when he was 19. Ryoshu is 27 years old. This put him at a minimum age of 46. He's pretty much certainly older than that, likely in his 50s or even 60s. The way I see it, Rion never had control in his life, with the Prescripts being his god.
True.
So that would obviously carry over into his...
See, now that's a fact. Rion didn't have control because he followed the Prescripts. That's a fact. You didn't say, I believe this. You didn't present your opinion first. You stated it. That... Well done.
Sexual behaviors, perhaps seeing rape as a form of getting that control...
What are we saying right now? Hold up. Can I transcribe this? How do I get the transcription? Hold up. Show transcript. Where are we right now? We're at 3 minutes 40. 3 minutes 40. Why did I say 40? That was weird. So that would obviously carry over to sexual behaviors, perhaps seeing... I was... Get control back in his own type of way. Oh! It's not obvious though. Like, sure, it's a way you can try and get control back by having no control. But there's no evidence to support this. The only thing you've said is, I believe that this is what happened.
Back in his own terrible way. This would
Is there
also
a way,
make
is there a way
sense.
we can get the transcript together as well? Hold up. How do I sync it together? Hold up.
As a lot of sexual abuse, especially upon children, is opportunistic. According to data, up to 1/3 of child sexual abuse cases are said to be incestuous.
Where is the incest coming into this? How do we go for... What? Okay, hold up. I got shocked by that. So, okay, they're talking about the real world right now. Okay, which is okay. A lot of childhood abuse can come from an adult figure. Like Joseph Fritzl, prime example. But so far, it does not apply to Rion. I'm sorry, it doesn't. I don't think it applies.
This is supported by worldwide evidence. The family structure is incredibly easy to exploit. Even a family structure as non-standard as a house of spiders would be the perfect breeding ground for incestuous sexual assault. It should also be mentioned that Rion's sexual abuse and grooming could be seen as a form of religious abuse. He sees the prescript as something to follow above all else, even for Hersom.
What the fuck am I reading? Okay. I'm not trying to be mean. Okay, I'm not trying to be mean. Okay. Please, nobody think I'm trying to be mean and possibly hurtful and what's the word I'm thinking? I fucking hold on. The family structure is gonna be easy to exploit. Okay, that is fair. You've supported us by evidence. Even a family structure as a non-standard as the house of spiders. But even if perfect, but there's no evidence to support incestuous sexual assaults happened in the house of spiders. What? Like, this is good. You know, we all know about the Catholic Church. We all know how rampant sexual child abuse cases are. Same here with the prevalence of child sexual abuse. With Australia, it happens worldwide. Jeffrey Epstein is probably the best example I can give. That happened, okay? Because power dynamic is easy to exploit. Like you've said there, it's yo, Nebula, how's it going? Say hi to YouTube, everybody. Hi, Nebula. Dab me up. So, we're 4 minutes in. Then, here's the crazy thing, right? Here's the crazy thing about this entire video I've gleaned so far. They've got evidence to support facts, but they're not correlating or pulling the facts with... We're basically saying, my opinion is this fact, and here is real-world facts to support my opinion. And that's not the case.
Much like how many religious people view their gods, religious leaders are also very common perpetrators of child sexual abuse, and religions...
Also, I feel like they're just kind of going on the assumption that every Catholic priest abuses children, and that's not the case. Speaking of first-hand experience, my priest was quite lovely and charming, and wasn't a paedophile, so...
often used as an excuse for this horrific form of abuse, as religious leaders and religious family members use their gods as a reason to inflict this abuse and deflect...
Sure,
But
I'm
the
gonna let
idea
him
that they
cook.
could be doing something bad with the fact that they're religious. Now that we've gone over Rion's basic character and some reasons I think
His basic character, he's a rapist and a pedophile who's a little bit prone to incest. What are we talking about, basic character? What? What? Okay.
he is predatory, we're going to go into the story itself and his interactions with three women, Shiomi, Yoru, Ryoshu, and Sora. Shiomi Yoru
No, I'm laughing at the edit. The fucking Austin 316. That's like, I just picture Rion driving down with like 2 beers, just. Oh my god. Nebula, I'm very sorry you've had to come into this at this moment in time, but hopefully you're having a good day. Hopefully everyone's having a good day. Sorry to bring this video up if you've not seen it already, but it is a very sensitive video, and we're trying to be as respectful as possible. So, once again, no harassment, please. I don't know, I feel like the video started off... It started off quite good, believe it or not. It just... The second they said, I believe this is why this fact is occurring. Yeah, but wait, it was rage bait. No, if this is rage bait, there's many ways to do it. Let's...
Who is Ryoshi's biological mother. Rion says that she is a carbon copy of her, save for her eyes. Shiomi says over and over again that she never wanted to have Ryoshu. We don't get a lot of one-on-one interactions between Shiomi and Rion, but what we do get is quite chilling. It's at the scene of Ryoshi's birth. Shiomi asks why it had to be her. She means why Ryoshu had to be her child specifically. Rion purposefully misinterprets her question, telling her that it's because Ryoshu is of her blood. Shiomi asks him again, this time with more anger, and is cut off by Rion. He tells her that, in the House of Spiders, nothing has less meaning than the question of why. As Ryoshu grows up and takes more traits from her mother, Rion shows immense displeasure. He says that he will be a guiding hand.
Yeah, because believe it or not, smoking is bad for you. Smoking can lead to lung cancer. And many other various health complications, and they want Ryoshu to, you know, be healthy so she can serve a purpose, like the Odyssey. Even post it out. If you've got Shade, if you got that artwork, please let me know. I'm so curious. Yeah, Hans, you're right. It would come up with a trigger warning as well, which I don't think. I've still got people asking the real questions of Kanto 9. The real question: why didn't Rion be tried in a court of justice? Yeah, kind of exactly. Thank you, Shady. Just.
And that brings Ryoshu to the right path. His disrespect for all of Shiomi's behaviors shows that he does not think that she is a quote-unquote good woman, because
that's because she's not. She hates the child. She's had her freedom stripped away because she has to look after Ryoshu as the birth mother as well as the pinky nurse father. And she's here smoking and giving Ryoshu bad habits that could possibly jeopardize her purpose for the House of Spiders. If I was Rion, I would also be pretty pissed that you're fucking up this endeavor for everybody. Not because, hey, incest.
She smokes and has an attitude that he doesn't find palatable. He thinks that her bodily autonomy isn't worth respecting.
See, I'm pretty sure, like, they all have attitudes they don't find palatable. Like, look at Valen. Look at the thumb. Doesn't like her. It gets worse. It does not get worse. Why is Rion French? Because the French suck, sadly. You need to drink. Yo.
So he sexually assaulted her, therefore causing Ryoshu's birth. It should also be known.
Hold on. What? Where's the transcript? Where is it? What did you just say? Hold it. Where is it? What? 5:38. What? What? Okay. He thinks that her body anatomy isn't worth respecting, so he sexually assaulted her. Alright, hear me out, right? I'm gonna try and debunk this right now. Tell me if I'm wrong. Tell me if I'm wrong. I don't think he sexually assaulted Ryoshu's mother. Crazy take, I know. It's just because there's no reason. Just because I think, I'll read the comments after. But just because I think that, oh, I don't like this person, I'm gonna rape them. I don't think that's how it works. I don't. Again, this is my opinion because I'm saying I don't think that's what's happened here. We don't know for a fact, but it is very highly unlikely that he went, Shiomi, you're smoking. I'm gonna force you to have my baby now. Like, hello, Dahlia, how you doing? Everybody say hello to Dahlia. Dahlia, say hi to YouTube. You've been recorded right now. We've got your live reaction to your Go Cassette saying all this. So, GG's. But yeah, I don't think this is what's happened here. And if there was evidence, or if it was outright stated that Ryoshu is in fact Rion's daughter, then this, because we know Shiomi is in fact Ryoshu's mother. We don't know who her father is. For fact. If unless it's confirmed, this seems highly unlikely. Okay, okay, hold up.
Noted that trying to get a child to hate their other parent is an incredibly common tactic in many kinds of parental abuse.
Especially prevalent in divorce. That's another good way, because you try and turn the children against the other parent so you get more time.
Even though Shiomi is already abusive and Ryoshu already hates her, Rion egging her on to hating her when he's also abusive and has shown possessive tendencies is a huge red flag. Comparing her to her abusive mother when she shows traits he doesn't like is also a red flag in and of itself. Given
That's fair. If I come today, this is so bleak. Don't worry, Dally, we're watching all of it, hopefully.
Context clues from how Rion talks about Shiomi and how he talks to her to her face,
Context clues.
I have come to the conclusion that Rion is actually Ryoshu's secret biological father. He discarded Shiomi and stopped talking to her much after Ryoshu's birth as he went on to groom his new daughter. Shiomi chews out Ryoshu.
Let me just read the description again. Yeah, so this is their analysis. Okay, so this is, once again, their opinion. It would have been nice if they said, hey, here's the evidence of, what was it again? I got to try to get back up every time. Where was it? 6:13. It would be nice if it was like, here's what they said. What is it? I have come to the conclusion that Rion is actually Ryoshu's secret biological father. Show the proof for that. Say, here is the line that led me to this conclusion. Don't just say, here's what I think, and just have Cassetti shown up there. I think that's the wrong way to do it. This is headcanons after headcanons of pure fetid made-up bullshit. Okay, remember, we're trying to be respectful here. We're not using this harassment, we're just dissecting it. Would you stop saying it gets worse, please?
Constantly. She talks about how she had freedom and happiness before she came into her life. In my eyes, this is because, to Shiomi, Ryoshu is the embodiment of her assault. She's symbolic of being thrown away and having her autonomy taken away from her.
No. Because, I gotta disagree here. It's not because she's the embodiment of her supposed alleged, potential assault. It's because she had the child, and she is confined to the House of Spiders for the rest of her life, so Ryoshu becomes Yoshihide. Or Yoshihide fulfills her purpose. That's why she's angry at having her autonomy taken away, not because Rion supposedly did this. Okay.
Therefore, she doesn't deserve respect. I've also seen it being pointed out that Shiomi's outfit is reminiscent of a traditional Japanese bridal outfit. And, yeah, everything in her life has been taken away from her to become a bride and... mother for Rion in the House of Spiders.
It is never once explicitly stated she is a bride for Rion. Once again, that is an opinion trying to be disguised as a fact. And like the traditional Japanese bridal outfit can also be explained because I'm pretty sure this is Japanese inspired. In conversation with other people, I also share the not essay opinion, but you can put it that way. Yeah, I'm just... Well, that's meant to be the supposed way, Dahlia. I'm not sure yet. I'm just kind of saying it the old-fashioned way. Also, say hi to Tectone, everybody. Hi, Tectone. But yeah, this is just... Okay, here's the traditional Japanese outfit.
Character design plays a huge role in symbolism and
Storytelling.
storytelling.
Okay.
Now that we've looked at Shiomi Yoru, let's look at her daughter, Ryoshu, formerly known as Yoshihide. I believe that Ryoshu was groomed for nearly her entire life by Rion. The first thing Rion does...
Here's my big issue with this. Here's my big issue. You can't single Rion out. This is what this video is doing. It's singling Rion out. Ryoshu was groomed for nearly her entire life by Rion. That is incorrect. Well, not incorrect. That is only a fraction of the truth. She's been groomed by all the nurse fathers to fulfill the role of Yoshihide, to become the, like a better term, to become Muga, basically. So you can't say, oh, Rion is the only one who groomed her, when it's all of them. They've all groomed Ryoshu to fill this role. And I feel like that is a little bit of bad faith there, to just go, okay, this supports my agenda, my headcanon, so get out. Just focus on this one thing, not the other four. Push to the side.
When she's born is name her Yoshihide, according to a prescript. Already, he's enforced into prescript control on her. Though he doesn't really have a choice in the matter, religious abuse and manipulation often starts from infancy, so the child thinks it's normal and that they're never given a choice in the matter. An important scene we're given of Rion and a child Ryoshu shows more of Rion's view on life. When talking about the waves knocking over the sandcastle on the beach, Ryoshu says that they just shouldn't knock them over. Rion tells her about how the waves can't control themselves because of the wind. This has a double meaning. It symbolizes both Rion having no control of prescript.
No. I know where this is going. The waves can't control themselves, so I'm going to have sex with you now. I can see it coming a mile away.
Scripts, as well as how Rion thinks that Ryoshu shouldn't have any control in his behavior, because Rion is, well, a wave who can't help knocking things over. A common argument that rapists use is that they couldn't help their urges and that they were out of control, even when this clearly isn't the case. As Ryoshu gets older, Rion keeps reading picture books to her. This seems like a matter the prescripts tell him to, or a weird personal preference, but I think it can also symbolize him stunting her in order to keep her a child forever.
I have to ask this question. Did you play Kanto 9? It's more or less clear cut why he reads her picture books and what they symbolize. Did you play Kanto 9? Yeah, that's why he explains why he reads it. And it's like, oh, why are you reading the picture books to a child? Because, believe it or not, picture books are for children. Let's keep going, shall we?
A child who can't stand up to him. He also talks about grown-ups in a way to try and make him seem different and more trustworthy than the other adults in Ryoshi's life. This is a major sign of grooming. Groomers want to keep their victims young so they don't realize something is wrong. When they begin to age and go against the groomer's ideas, they guilt-trip them and try to keep them stunted as best as they can. They want them to stay young and naive. Rion's fixation on naivety also comes into play with his dynamic with Sora, but we'll get there in a bit. Eventually, Ryoshu gets access to the Arayashiki relic, a sword that cuts through everything but destroys her memories along with it. I believe that this could partly be a metaphor for dissociative amnesia. The most severe forms of dissociative amnesia come in DID and OSDD1A, both complex dissociative disorders.
Okay, let's just keep going.
Complex dissociative disorders come from prolonged and inescapable childhood trauma between the ages of 0 to 9, accounting for developmental delays, with sexual abuse being an incredibly common cause of it. In these disorders, memories are located in different parts of the brain, but sometimes memories of an especially stressful or traumatic nature can be completely erased from all parts and, for lack of a better word, repressed. In DID, in both forms of OSDD1A, albeit with 1B being more identity disturbance-based than amnesia-based, the dissociation is a protective mechanism. Different parts split and hold things that may be too stressful for one another and to protect a greater whole. This splitting first occurs to appease the abuser or abusers in the child's life, as abusers are incredibly unpredictable. It's good to note here that Ryoshu warns everyone that Rion's moves cannot be predicted. Predictable. It's good to know.
Yeah. Here's a magic sword that steals memories. No. It's a psychological condition. No, it's the sword stealing memories. Hold up. That man, you can't hope to predict his moves. There is a reason for this. It's called the prescripts that he gets and follows. That's why you can't predict his moves. Because you don't know what the prescript is going to say. So say in these disorders, memories are located in different parts of the brain. Let's disprove this right now using in-game logic as well. And in-game fact, actually. It doesn't hide the memories in the brain. It erases them from the brain. You no longer have those memories to remember in the first place. So, it can't be DID if they never had the memories to begin with. There was no disassociation to be had in the first place.
Note here that Ryoshu warns everyone that Rion's moves cannot be predicted. Abusers often take advantage of memory loss in DID and abuse someone further for it. They know what they're doing and they know the effects.
So the thing is, we know for a fact Rion has never gone against the prescripts as well. So, unless the prescript tells him to do something, he's not going to do it because that's how indoctrinated he is to the prescripts. Yeah, don't get me wrong. It's the points being made, whilst I don't necessarily agree with or are just outright wrong, and not supported by facts and opinions evidenced by facts, they are being presented well enough.
Ryoshu is out of her mind near the end of Kanto 9 and completely dissociated. Rion says she's never looked more beautiful. Arayashiki, a relic that protects her, also destroys her memories. Her abusive parents gave her this sword.
You've just disproven your own opinion then. You just said it also destroys her memories. It doesn't hide them, it destroys them.
It's also this sword that allows her to stand up to her parents and leave the house of spiders.
Genuinely, did they play Kanto 9? Genuinely. It wasn't the sword that allowed her to stand up to the house, to the nurse fathers of the house of spiders. It was the fact. It was the fact they were going to take her daughter away. They were going to kill Ayaka. That's why she was like, I'm going to stand up against... Like, alright, Shady, don't get me wrong. You can vouch for this to everybody. I have a problem with reading Limbus Company, and even I read this.
It's not a perfect analogy. Analogies aren't meant to be one-to-one after all.
It's not even an analogy, it's just wrong.
The memories that Ryoshu lost can never be brought back even with extensive therapy.
Because they're not there to begin with, they're not hidden away, they have been destroyed, so... The dissociative memory doesn't...
Her memories are literally sliced away. But this does not stop the fact that dissociative barriers and amnesia as a defense...
Okay, I think I might be wrong here by me saying she can't develop this because there's no memories there to have be developed. No, Zula, I think we do. I think we do need to watch this because clearly this is somebody. This is actually a problem within the Project Moon community. I've noticed lately. Because there was a whole. I noticed it first with Lei Hong, believe it or not. Because people were like, "Oh, Lei Hong's a rapist," and it was just a wild take because nothing in the game has ever indicated once that he has done that. It's just so weird.
Mechanism be an obvious outcome of the various types of abuse that Ryoshu faces as a child, and that Arayashiki being a metaphor for this.
There also, I get it's a video talking about Rion being the predator, but they're also attributing every other abuse to Rion as well.
Reaction would make sense. As Ryoshu gets attached to Araya, a child cloned from her bloodline, she realizes that the nurse father's treatment of her is not normal. She realizes that kids shouldn't be hit or yelled at and that she didn't deserve that treatment. She realizes how creepy Rion was. She becomes cold and distant. She becomes an adult that wants nothing.
I'm pretty sure she was becoming cold and distant. She was doing all this before she got Ayaka. What?
To do with them, a groomer's worst fear. So Rion begins to weaponize Ryoshi's love for her daughter Araya. Sometime after Araya is locked away in a vault, she escapes while Ryoshu is gone. Rion notices Araya's vulnerability and offers her a position as the Pinky Nurse father. He is perpetuating the cycle with Araya and acting as though they're equals because they both miss Ryoshu.
It's because they need a nurse father for that position. It's not perpetuating any cycle of abuse. It is quite literally, we need this role fulfilled. And guess what happens at the end of Kanto 9? That role gets fulfilled. Ryoshu becomes Muga. She becomes the role of Yoshihide.
An abuser does, he's completely leaving out the part of the story where he is one of the primary reasons why she left in the first place, and that he is one of the people Ryoshu wanted to keep Araya safe.
It's a small group.
As a side note, I believe that Araya is also a victim of
a small group,
Rion,
but they're vocal.
but we just don't have enough information or subtext on the two of them for me to make it a whole section. I'll just leave it here that Rion kept this cycle going for 3 generations straight. Shiomi Yoru hated him for his assault, so he moved on to his daughter. Ryoshu started to hate him, so he moved on to his granddaughter. He became distant from his granddaughter as she became the Pinky Nurse father, so he moved on to Sora. Speaking of Sora, now it's time for the reason
I'm interested in this because
to look into Rion's connection to Grooming, his relationship with his apprentice. Sora is Rion's apprentice as well as his final victim. She's shown to be naive and obsessed with...
Okay, hold on. You guys say final victim. If anything, she's a victim of the prescripts. Like, don't get me wrong. Yeah, exactly. He's wearing a mask. His abuse is quite literally, you cannot bond with me because I don't know who I am. I'm an empty... You're trying to bond with an empty husk, basically. It's like going into a statue and going, hey, you're my father now. It's not... It's like we talked about, Valentina was the physical and verbal abuse. Matthias is the absentee parent who tries to buy love and affection, rather than just develop it naturally. The ring is psychological abuse, and the DQ star is, God, what was it? Once again, mental and emotional abuse. Rion's abuse is quite literally, he's incapable of doing it. In my opinion, see, this is my opinion now. This isn't a fact, this is my opinion. I believe the abuse Rion is doing isn't abuse. There is no abuse to be had because he cannot bond with Ryoshu. Anyway, let's keep going, shall we?
Every word that Rion says.
Only 9 minutes
words,
left.
She's the perfect child, the perfect victim, the perfect person to groom. Sora is implied to be young. Her outfit is far different from
She's shown to be naive and obsessed with every word that Rion says. To be fair, she does appear to be obsessed with Rion, and I'm pretty sure that might be because... Yeah, you can make an argument for and against him. It's like, hey, that's why I think he's a good character, because... Oh, I have this theory about him, I have this theory about him, to an extent. To outright say he's abused 3 generations of women in the way that this video is. There's no argument to be made, it's just wrong. But, yeah, the lower marks are just... I think that's meant to be... language that's meant to make you go, oh, wait, that sounds pretty smart. Like this here. We could have just said, in other words, she's shown to be naive and obsessed with every word that Rion says. And as we've learnt from Don Quixote's uptight story, from the Sora ID, that's because she was locked and trapped away, and he rescued her from that captivity. That is Stockholm Syndrome, basically. Well, not basically, but... Like, I don't know what to... Close I can think of is Stockholm Syndrome, where you start to feel sympathy for the captive. It's more like a savior complex kind of scenario, where... Oh my god, this person saved me, I owe them my life. That's what's happened to her. And also she follows the prescripts, so they also kind of dictate that as well. Oh, it's unique to Don. Oh, so wait, what was Sora's backstory then? Or is she just part of the prescripts to begin with? Just, so... Okay. Okay, so that's open to interpretation. Let's discard everything I've just said then about that particular instance. But let's discard that. Still the same thing of, here is an upper echelon of the prescript. He's high up there. Of course you'd be a little bit obsessed by him. And naive is just because of her nature.
The other proxies we've seen, being more reminiscent of a schoolgirl's uniform.
Yeah, basically...
She said she had been in a fixer office at one point and got scouted when we first meet her, but she could have very well been lying as she was pretending to be an agent. If she wasn't lying, this puts her at a minimum age of 19. Still very young, and keep in mind that Rion is at minimum 40.
But she was lying. If she wasn't lying, she was lying.
6 years old. Based on her speech impediment that results...
Is it minimum... We don't know how old he is. You can't say... And keep in mind that Rion is minimum 40s. We don't know how old he is.
...in a stutter, poor social skills, and fear of the other apprentices who she says don't like her very much. We come to the conclusion that Sora has some form of neurodivergence, likely autism. Autistic women and children are far more likely to be sexually abused than the allistic population, 3 to 4 times more likely in fact. Autistic people are seen as lesser and are far more likely to be victimized due to lack of understanding regarding tone, expression, and social rules. Sora thinks that Rion will make her his daughter and allow her to stay in the House of Spiders if she keeps doing her duties. Giving a victim a false hope of something more is a very common method used in grooming. Whether it's a job promotion, better grades in school, a happy marriage once a victim becomes a quote-unquote acceptable age, or becoming family, false hope of a better life with the groomer in it is extremely common. I'd say it even pops up in most grooming scenarios. Sora says that Rion was jealous of her manifesting ego because of her unshakable conviction. This is also a sign of grooming. Groomers will praise their victims endlessly, saying they're jealous of them and that they wish they had traits that they had. The phrase, if he says you're too good for him, he probably is, definitely applies here. Now, this isn't in the story itself, but it applies to the identities. If we take Index Don Quixote...
What the fuck was that entire section? What? I get what they're trying to say. I understand they're trying to say here's evidence that she might be autistic, here are the signs. It's also just indoctrination into a cult-like order. Alright? It's It's just indoctrination first and foremost. That's the first conclusion you probably should have got. That is the most likely outcome, supported by the evidence that is in game. Not Sora's autistic, therefore she loves her abuser. What are we talking about here? And then now this isn't the story itself, but it applies to the identities. As we've just discussed earlier, thanks to Shady and Silly pointing it out, that's completely unique to Don. You can't interpret it as applicable to Sora, because even though she's based on Sora, it's still Don Quixote as an ID.
Quixote's voice lines and interpret them as applicable to Sora as
I want
well.
to discuss the implication.
There's one absolutely disgusting implication. Index Don Quixote says that she stays in her master's room, this being Nurse Father Yisong. Now, Yisong is younger than Rion by at least 10 years, and Don Quixote is actually older than him, so it's not a one-to-one.
So if anything, Don Quixote is the abuser in this scenario. Fuck off. But at this point, just say, okay, just say Yisang's a rapist, Yisang's a groomer, he's an incestuous paedophile. If he's based on him, but you can't say that because we all know Yisang isn't. Yeah. Exactly. Why would Yisang do this? But it's case in point, it's not part of the story, so it doesn't pertain to Sora herself because it's a unique to Don Quixote. And it's based on, but it's like saying Yisang did this. We know he hasn't. Most like, do we? I feel drained by this video, so I'm worried my arguments aren't coming across. Yeah, abused by the absentee parent kind of way. I get the point they're making, but once again, it's coming across as his headcanon I want to be fact. What do you mean, but wait, it gets worse. What the
One
fuck?
dynamic in that mirror world. But if we see this as happening to Sora with Rion too, it's abhorrent. A man allowing a much younger woman, one that's possibly underage, to stay in his room all the time while baiting her with the idea that she can stay with him and become his daughter is nothing short of vile and definitely a sign of sexual abuse.
But it's never said that Sora shares the same room with Rion, so it's never said that.
Despite all of this, Rion clearly does not actually care for Sora. He saves all the loving pet names for Ryoshu. I believe this is because she's not part of his bloodline. Though an adoptive family member obviously is a real family member.
How have we come full circle back to the incest?
He doesn't see it that way. If Sora leaves, that will be that. Ryoshu can never truly leave, not just because of the spider thread, but because she is his daughter. He is the one who sexually assaulted Shiomi and caused her to be born.
No, he's not. That's
She
an
is
opinion
his
you're
own
stating
daughter.
as fact.
At the end of the story, after Sora is erased from everyone's memory, we finally get to fight Rion.
Peak fight.
His lines are all about wanting to keep Ryoshu in the House of Spiders. For the first time in his life, he defies the Prescript, but it's not for Ryoshu's sake, it's for his own. He's possessive and predatory. After he's defeated, we last see him fighting against proxies who are after him for going against a Prescript. He begins to recite Prayer for Loving Sorrow, but instead of finishing it, he decides to take his own life using a sport from Hermes. I'm not the kind of person to say suicide is selfish. I think that narrative is victim-blaming. There are a lot of factors that may cause someone to take their own life. I have my own very deeply personal and traumatic experiences with the topic. But Rion's suicide is not just one out of...
That is unfortunate for that. Oh, okay. So it's in the Don story, and the room stuff seems to indicate that each of us operates within the house. Yeah. The IDs do mirror relationships of their respective characters. But I don't think Yisang is sexually abusing Don Quixote. I'm going to be honest. Oh. So many spoilers. Okay, hold on. Let me pull that up first. Because like, I'll just show this very briefly. Like, you've showed this Shady. You have no idea what talk about your nonsense. What could they possibly have said that would trigger that kind of reaction? And we've also got the... Honestly, great thumbnail pic. Okay, hold up. Hold up. Let me see the reaction. So we're in spoilers. Okay. Wow, I've been accused of being a rape fetishist over this. None of you are normal. I'm never making a PM analysis video about a darker topic ever again. You've got Yandere in the username. It's never... In experience, it's never a good sign to have there. Mostly because Yandere, You know what? Ignore that. I don't know what I'm talking about. To be fair, I don't think calling anybody a rape fetishist is the right way to go. Regardless of the video topic, I don't think that's a good thing to call somebody. Because that has dangerous implications. Okay? None of you are normal. To be fair, in defense of this, you made the video about Limbus Company. But it's a toughie. I'll give you that. It's a toughie, alright. Right then.
Of misery because of his life circumstance, but because he has no more victims to redirect his stress onto. He has no more distractions because all of his victims...
We know why he took his own life. It's not because he has no more victims. It's because he's dying anyway. He's been cleaved in half by Ryoshu. Have I beat Rooney? I've not beat Rooney. I've not beat Rooney yet. I'm gonna beat Rooney the same way Rion supposedly beats Ryoshu. Like, what the fuck? I do have mixed feelings with this video.
Victims are either forever gone from his life or dead. He's not able to find a new victim in the state he's in, so he decides to commit suicide.
He commits suicide?
Now that we've gone over the story and...
Hold up, he commits suicide because he's dying. He's going to die either way. Hello? Now, for all you Rion defenders out there, how dare you, first of all?
Rion's interactions with the woman in his life, let's go over some arguments that Rion defenders make. Shiomi is the only nurse father said to be directly related to Ryoshu, therefore she wasn't sexually assaulted. Would it not be in character for a rapist to hide the fact he assaulted his victim, especially to his daughter, who he wants to seem like the perfect ideal father to?
No, because you get found out. What? Would not be in the character for a rapist to hide the fact he assaulted his victim? In that close proximity? No. It's just... Oh, here's the strawberry. Okay. And do you know what? Just to be absolutely clear, I'm going to get ChatGPT for this. We're going to use AI just to remove all the doubt. That's right. Fuck fresh water. How dare it exist? What is... I may have put this wrong. Here we go. So, what is a straw man? The straw man fallacy. A logical fallacy where someone misrepresents or oversimplifies another person's arguments to make it easier to attack. So they respond to the actual point, they argue against a distorted version of it. Okay. For example, we should have some regulation of social media platforms, so you want to censor free speech, control what everyone says. That's not true, you're exaggerating the point. So with that in mind, Herbie's GPT. Nebula, that's a good one, I'll give you that. The issue isn't that he made an analysis video on a darker topic, it's that he tried to present his opinion as fact and then was faced with backlash instead of saying he was wrong. Not even that, I'll admit, I like some of the points they've attempted to make. In some regard, I like how they've tried to present it to an extent. It's just the points that needed to be really heavily honed down on No evidence, all opinion, let's move on. It's like they're doing like an opinion fact sandwich. Like, here's my opinion. Here's an actual statual fact with evidence supporting, like, the child abuse in the Catholic Church. Fact. Followed by an opinion, then another fact. So, yeah, like, I'm trying to be respectful. I still am. Like, at this point, you don't need to be respectful, but just don't go out hating the person. Yeah, it's a theory. It needs less fluff. It's just... Exactly, Glop, as well. It's just... A lot of it is, okay, Ryoshu has dissociative identity disorder. No, she doesn't have fucking memories of anything happening because they've been stripped away, so she can't form that disorder because it's impossible for her to do so because the cause of it does not exist. And that's disproven, and it's happened a lot and a lot and a lot. It is overthinking, you're right.
In order to groom her and make her never want to escape the House of Spiders. Even if this is a cloning situation, she still didn't consent for her DNA to be used. Even that would be assault, and Rion's behavior towards...
Correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't... No, how could she give consent to her DNA being cloned when it was most likely taken from her as a child? Hello? In fact, you could make the argument of like, oh, the Ryoshu we have right now is a clone. Who was injected into the D who started to give birth, you know, like IVF. You could make that argument. Okay, like, here's my opinion. Ryoshu we have is a clone who was used from a former Ryoshu's DNA to put into Dihu Star to be IVF birthed. It's my opinion. I'm not presenting any facts. I'm not trying to present it as fact. I'm saying that's an opinion. It's the same. Clone, what? What are we talking about?
Towards her is still creepy. If a woman is forced to carry and raise a baby she doesn't want, it's sexual assault. Plain and simple. Yoshi.
I don't think it is. Let me explain that before we go like, oh, what do you mean it's not sexual? The problem with this is, if a woman is forced to carry and raise a baby she doesn't want, it's sexual assault. Hasn't the sexual assault already occurred? If that is the case, am I wrong for thinking that, or is like? Do we get what I'm trying to say there? Getting cancelled speaking in the video. Hold up, I'm not... who's getting cancelled here? Me? Hold up. Like, don't get me wrong. If a woman's forced to carry and raise a baby she doesn't want, that's a shit show. That's bad. That is her... She should be allowed to give in that choice, okay? But doesn't that mean the sexual assault has already happened to begin with? Like... Like, where does the sexual assault start and where does it end? And I'm pretty sure it's with conception. And then... Do we know what I'm trying to say? God, this video is very divisive. Let's keep going. Alright, what's this? There's people that say stuff, you know, it's controversial whether or not they're right. Yeah, I ain't reading all that. Yeah, exactly. Like, there we go, Zula. That's a better way of describing it. It's like I'm forcing IVF into somebody. That would be assault. But then carrying it after the fact, is that still assault? You know, it raises the question of like, where does the assault start and where does it end? And I'm saying all this and I'm thinking, wait, this is about a video game. Why are we talking about real world crimes all of a sudden? What? Like, okay. Yeah, once again, yeah, like you said, no evidence. Was she scared of Rion in Counter 9 because she was scared he would hurt? That's because it's true. She was scared. She was scared he would hurt Araya because he says at the end of part 2, don't worry, we know where the safe is. We've always known where the safe is. So of course she's... What?
She was only scared of Rion in Kanto 9 because she was scared he would hurt Araya. In what way? If Rion were a good parent, she wouldn't be scared of him even seeing her daughter.
What? You've just disproven himself. With the... Yeah. What? Ryoshi was scared of Rion in Kanto 9 because she was scared he would hurt Araya. That was true. You touched with the spiral, all that stuff. You've got the... God. Like, like I said, we know where the safe is. We've always known where she is. We know where Araya is. Come back to the House of Spiders, Yoshihide. We need you to fulfill a purpose. If Rion were a good parent, she wouldn't be scared of him even seeing her daughter. Yes, she would, because... Honestly, tragic reconstruction. I mean this genuinely. I'm talking to you directly right now. Did you play Kanto 9 or did you just watch TikTok reels? Because what the fuck? It is essentially random. Did you play Kanto 9 seriously? Yeah, from her POV. And then
she had a very good reason to be terrified of him seeing Araya because how predatory he's been her whole life. Project Moon in general has no sexual...
They've all been fucking predatory their whole life. They've all been abusive.
Topics and it's for all ages, so it can't have any talk of sexual violence because that wouldn't make sense and would be inappropriate. Does a game, show, or movie need to have an explicit on-screen rape scene, or for someone to straight up say they were raped for it to say anything about sexual violence?
Okay. Like, no one's not calling themselves groomers, they're groomers. Yeah. Okay, subtext is a thing. Heavily subtext. That's what Roblox might tell you. Okay, you bring it in Roblox. Okay, I see how it is. Okay, this is how they try to get the point across. Look at Roblox.
Coding is a thing. Subtext is a thing, and Project Moon is heavily subtext based. Also, regardless of what Roblox might tell you, Project Moon's games are made for adults first and foremost. Even if they don't have blatant sexual themes on screen, the games are for adults. The books that the Sinners are based on are all for adults. The fucking ratings for the games say they are for adults. They are allowed to have adult themes even if it makes you uncomfortable. And I'm not bashing anyone for getting into Project Moon as a teenager. Hell, I got into it when I was 17 and did a high school project on Lobotomy Corporation's themes. Here it is. It's really bad.
Nobody cares.
But you do need to be aware that these games are for adults. Why are you trying to cancel?
Yeah. Exactly, Silly. Silly, do me a favor. Can you find that and send it to me? Because I would like to include that in the video. Because that is really important. Like it... You know what I think not the worst thing, but you know what really kind of sold this whole thing was I was kind of for it at the start with the whole, does a game, show, or movie need to have an explicit on-screen rape scene or for someone to straight up say they were raped for it to say anything about sexual assault? No, it doesn't. And I was like, okay, that's pretty cool. But he was talking about, well, because and here's where it kind of died down for me, or it kind of fell to shit. They turned around and said, because Limbus Company has subtext, this is the subtext. That is not the subtext. What? I mean, here's like, okay, regardless of what Roblox might think, we need to tell a Roblox joke because it's getting pretty serious. You know, I kind of appreciate that. That was pretty funny. I'm not gonna lie, that was kind of funny. Yeah. Just... Zulu, the absolute... It's not even a postpartum regret plotline. I think it's because she's been forced into that by the for the House of Spiders' purpose. So whoever was behind the House of Spiders is the reason for that. And it's clear that... It's clear she's suffering depression because her life is now over. Not because she has to live with her abuser... Oh, sorry. Her alleged abuser, Rion, who forced her to get pregnant with Ryoshu. It's because her life is now dedicated to existing solely to sustain Ryoshu from a child until she serves the purpose of fulfilling Muga. What are we talking about here? Did you play Kanto 9?
Cancel Rion. He's not real. My intention is not to quote-unquote cancel Rion. You're right, he isn't real. I firmly believe that people are allowed to enjoy darker characters as long as they understand what they have done.
That's fair.
And don't try to bury it under the rug. Unfortunately, a lot of Rion fans do, in fact, bury what he has done under the rug.
Sound warning right now. There's a sound warning of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blur out the names. Take a screenshot. Just get rid of the username and have what they've written down. It's like this entire video, I can just blur out your entire name. There we go. I can blur out all of this. I can just have this on screen. And be like, okay. Look, I'll tell you what the video is, but here it is. Just, what are we talking about? No examples here. You can't say, here's what I think, or here's what I believe to be fact, and then offer no examples. This is just entirely done in... This whole part is just bad faith all of a sudden, because you're not providing anything to back up the claims you're making. You're just going, here's what I believe, and here's why it's fact. What the fuck?
To turn him into a more palatable character. My intention is to share my own analysis and thoughts. You people are doing the Li Hang thing again. People thought Li Hang was a rapist, and he wasn't one.
Why did they bring this up? It's not even in the trigger words. Oh. Alright, we're almost done. We're almost done. This has been an hour long, by the way. I'm uploading the whole thing.
Wow! We're doing the Li Hang thing again, huh? Interesting. How ironic. We're doing the Li Hang thing again, huh?
Dear Single, have you ever kissed someone before? I have. Your mother doesn't count. No, but yours does. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Interesting. How ironic. Okay, that comparison falls flat for multiple reasons. First, Li Hang sexually assaulting Ryoshi was a theory that some people had when Kanto 8 was coming out. You know, when we didn't know most of Ryoshi's backstory yet, it was based on how he talked to her without much subtext, if any at all, to back it up. Rion being a predator is supported by...
What did that just say? Honestly, I don't think this theory was entirely disproven either. It's not about Lei Hong Ryoshu's training. I don't personally believe it, but I can see why some people do. Have you considered the possibility that she doesn't like Lei Hong because he's a dick? Maybe she doesn't like seeing Lei Hong's face because he was a twat to her growing up. Have we considered that for a possibility yet?
Her without much subtext, if any at all, to back it up. Rion being a predator is supported by his own words, other characters' words, and subtext.
Show the evidence then.
Second, people are theorizing based on what was compared.
No. Don't move on. Don't move on. Say, okay, it's backed up by his own words, characters, and subtext. For the first time this video, show the evidence of you backing up a claim like this.
To Rion's actions, breadcrumbs. Rion's abusive tendencies are shown over and over again with multiple women.
No, I don't, because you didn't give any evidence to support it. You were like, here's an opinion, here's a fact, here's an opinion. They weren't related. What are we doing here? Yeah, Force goes Lei Hong. They are bad-mouthing your name.
Shiomi was a bitch.
Shiomi was a bitch!
Anyway, you're a misogynist and I have no interest with arguing with.
Are they for real? I keep. The worst thing is, this seems like Cassetti saying it all, and I can see it being in theme for Cassetti. He's a prick. She was, though. In fact, Shiomi was not a bitch. All 5 of the nurse fathers were bitches to Ryoshu. Am I misogynistic for calling Matthias a bitch? No. It's called having fucking eyes and played the canto. This whole argument's fault.
Because nothing will change your mind. Every time a female character is abusive, people do this. When male characters do the same thing, people make cutesy headcanon for them and ship them with everyone. Next, if Rion is a predator, a prescript problem.
What? What are we doing?
People make cutesy headcanon for them and ship them with everyone. Next, if Rion is a predator, a prescript probably made him do it. That does not hurt my theory. If anything, it makes it stronger because he would have, in his view, a good and solid reason to be an abuser.
You know what? I think I don't even want to argue this. Fuck it, let's argue it. Let's argue it. If anything, so if Rion was a predator, a prescript probably made him do it. This does not hurt my theory. If anything, it makes it stronger because he would have, in his view, a good and solid reason to be an abuser. No, he wouldn't. Hold on. What was it? Minus the ode for loving Sora when he rejected was to be Roland. Shut up. Have a loving family. This here about it does hurt the theory because the prescript, people who did the prescript have no free will. They're following a preordained will from someone else telling them to do this stuff. Them enacting the prescript does not make them go, hey, I like doing this. It doesn't further reinforce anything. It's just, what are we doing?
Why do you want multiple characters to be survivors of sexual trauma?
I get it now. I get why you were called a rape fetishist. I'm not calling you one, but I understand it now. And it sucks you were called that. Hold up. Yeah, like this here, I'm not seeing anything about sexual assault. This will contain content that touches upon multiple difficult topics that are potentially disturbing. Please refer to the list before you proceed. Cruelty, drug use, references to alcohol, tobacco. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything about sexual assault. Shout out to Ahab, my goat. Yeah, nothing about her. So, the warning screen has just said, hey, your entire video is wrong. The subtext that you want to be there is wrong because it does not exist. So the whole video is wrong. It is no longer an analysis. I mean, it still is an analysis, but it is a factually incorrect analysis. Because the subtext that you are trying to read does not exist to be read.
trauma. Is this a fetish? Oh my fucking god. Essay representation in fiction is important. It's important to know the signs and ramifications of this insidious form of abuse.
Thanks for that, Shady. I needed
that. Right in front of me and coming to the conclusion that I have a fetish based on that is strange. The idea that seeing a fictional character as a sexual abuse survivor is a sign of fetishization is honestly disgusting. Sexual abuse survivors are not your fetish. Moving on. Calling your daughter pet names such as Sweetie and Honey is not creepy. It's concerning now you think it is. Context matters. Ryoshu is clearly uncomfortable. Love bombing is also...
Of course she's uncomfortable. She's being held in a fucking hostage situation in the House of Spiders. Anyone would be uncomfortable.
A thing. He most likely does this to seem kind and loving compared to her other parents, so she can latch onto him more. Rion may be a groomer, but he genuinely loved Ryoshu, so he's based. It's not that deep.
No one has ever said that.
Things. That's an incredibly sad and shallow way of looking at works of art. A common phrase I see used is, sometimes the curtains are just blue, referring to how not everything has symbolism. This is offensive to storytelling as a whole. The curtains are never just blue unless it's the Backyardigans or like one of those picture books that Rion reads. This kind of thinking is ruining media literacy. Their language teacher was right. Edgar Allan Poe did not just fucking love ravens. Oh my god. Okay,
What a miserable fucking way to read a book, by the way. Imagine reading a line going like, I opened the front door. And then having to look for the deepest subtext for going, why did they open the door? What does the door represent? It means you opened the fucking door. If the author says the curtains are blue, guess what, Chuckle Nuts? The curtains are blue. Yes, I would. Even me, who... I was going to say, even I'm going like... I don't even... I've got words in my brain and I can't get them out because after listening to this for an hour and 22 minutes has made me go, oh my god, the curtains are going to rape me because they're blue. That is the subtext I'm getting from KJH. The subtext is not there to begin with.
I believe that's all the major points I've seen be brought up by Rion defenders. So let's get on to the conclusion.
Finally, the conclusion
that I didn't know where else to fit. Okay, rapid firing some miscellaneous things related to Rion that are weird and can easily be seen through the lens of him being a sexual abuser. Rion admits he can't feel pity. Rion especially said attachment to things is worthless while also grooming Ryoshu into loving him at the same time. Shiomi talks about Rion specifically when going on to Ryoshu about how bad her life has gotten, but Lancina calls Rion a fake bitch. I just think that's funny, honestly. It almost seems like you're ready to give up everything you have for your dear old man.
Realistically, so he's a rape. Exactly, Shady's like, damn. Rowan flicks rupture. I almost said rupture because I'm thinking about fucking Lei Hong. He's a do rupture. What the fuck? Because Lei Hong's a. Oh my god. Ooh. It's fun to look for subtext, but my god, if you go too far, you get a video like this. Exactly, silly. It's equivalent to one Gekishin Gotenks game. By the way, Gekishin, best game ever made. Hit me up on Steam if you want to play it. I'm always looking for allies.
Is an insane line. Remember this, sweetheart? Only you can clash against this move.
Yeah, because only Ryoshu can clash against this skill. It's written right there. Oh, only Ryoshu can clash with this skill. Therefore, we're raping it. What?
Is also kind of insane. In conclusion, I see Kanto 9 as a story not just about a silly crime syndicate family, but about the cycle of grooming and sexual abuse perpetuated against women and girls. It explores the consequences of religious and sexual trauma, including dissociative amnesia and the...
There's nothing sexual about it, though. That's the thing. If you remove every single sexual assault indicator, or if you remove everything sexual assault related in this video, believe it or not, you have a damn good video. But because you are saying, it's like here, it explores the consequence of religious religious trauma. That's nice. Because it fucking does. But prescripts are basically indoctrination into a cult, like the Catholic Church. You know, people read the Bible, people follow that. Think deep Christian people don't like gay people, that kind of stuff. Even though that's very outdated and very dangerous. But that, so I mean, religious trauma, that exists. To then say, because they follow the prescripts, they rape somebody. What? Exactly. The religious trauma is fair. But it's all, this is a headcanon that's going, okay, I'm going to present my headcanon with actual canon.
Dynamics a previous abused generation has with the next abused generation. I find it to be a beautiful story about Ryoshi breaking the cycle of abuse, even if you...
Yes, it is a beautiful story about Ryoshi breaking the cycle of abuse, even though, yeah, she forgot her daughter, but it's always remained by her side because of the sword. Also, yeah, thank you, Cassette, for showing us a story about forgiveness.
Gets her daughter in the process. It's one of my favorite stories.
It is. It's a really good fucking story. Probably my
saying a lot.
top
since,
two.
This is my special interest, and I love nearly everything they make. I hope this analysis can help at least one person understand my point of view. That would be incredible. Thank you for listening to me talk, and I hope you have a nice day.
I want to make one thing clear before we get to the wrap up. I want to make one thing clear. I'm not trying to make this to harass or call the creator stupid, because I'm going to be honest. Even though a little bit of crash out here and there, I enjoyed the video. I think there are a lot of things you can improve upon, absolutely. Now, I'm not perfect either, but I think some things are... Like I said before, you try to go, okay, here's my opinion, and here's why it's fact. You can't say that. You just say, here is my opinion, here is why it could be possibly be fact, with this supporting evidence. But it can't be. And like we've said before, you've made this entire video about here is why Rion is a predator, and there's a lot of sexual abuse related scenarios in regards to Kanto 9, right? Unfortunately, nowhere on the trigger warning in the subtext, nowhere in the game using the subtext is sexual violence here. Let's take references to gaslighting and bullying. Look at Ahab in Kanto 9. The fault lies with you, Ishmael. That's classic gaslighting. That is the subtext that is there. Not really subtext, it's quite heavy text. But there's a subtext, like body modification and or defamation. Kanto 3. Unfortunately, you've made this video to try and prove a point that just does not exist within the game. And that is why, unfortunately, you are getting claims of being called a rape fetishist. And it is unfortunate that's happened. That is a harassment you do not like to see. And I'm sorry you have to go through that. That said, it was quite... Okay, I'm not going to lie and say it was quite enjoyable. It was a good video. It just... There are some glaring faults with this. And I hope for your next analysis you do improve. But yeah, like, where was the evidence? There wasn't none. The only evidence they did was real-world evidence. In fact, if we go back to the Catholic Church, it's like using voice lines here to try and prove it. It doesn't really prove anything. It just proves us, like, it lets us know a baseline. Here's his character. Where was the Catholic Church? Here. Most perpetrators of child sexual abuse, incestuous. That makes sense. Well, it makes sense. Here it is. The Catholic Church sexual abuse cases. That's a case of evidence you're making a point with a fact. But you were doing his opinion, fact, opinion, fact. You're sandwiching your opinion within facts to try and make it appear as if they are facts, and they're just not. I'm sorry to say. It is a very flimsy theory for a game. But hey, that's a theory. A game theory. Like... Yeah, no. I get what you were trying to cook. I appreciate you trying to cook with this video. Unfortunately, it did not cook. And it sucks you are receiving the backlash that you are. Know that, even though I disagree with the video wholeheartedly, it was a good video. And I'm not using this to attack anybody or say, hey, you're wrong for thinking this. We all have nice theories and headcanons. But that's all they can be, really. Like, theories and headcanons until proven accurate by the author. It's just the way it is. Anyway, this has been a rather long video. You know, exactly, Shady. Matt Pat, you've ruined us. I was hoping he would improve, but his responses shows he's giving up. He's not going to make analysis videos anymore. Not going to apologize or anything. Just get mad for backlash about taking accountability. Yeah, I think that's another thing you need to learn to take accountability. That's another big thing. Which, I'll be honest, nobody likes doing. Nobody likes going, hey, maybe I was wrong. Because, you know, people will use that to hold it against you. It's just... Look, it's a difficult video to make. You've made it. It just wasn't the right video. Oh, better yet, it wasn't the right topic. I think if you talked about anything other than Rion being a sexual predator, it would have been a hit video. You would have got such more positive reception towards it. Instead of, he's a rapist, here's why you can't defend this, you're a misogynist for not liking Shiomi. And like the whole strawman segment. Like the whole strawman right at the end being like, you're a misogynist, I don't want to talk to you if you think Shiomi's a bitch. She is a bitch. She's a detestable, deplorable human being within the city. Because that's how she's written to be. You are not wrong for thinking that, you're not misogynist for thinking that. She was meant to be that way. Just like all the nurse fathers were. Anyway, video's over with. I can't say go and support it because, look, if you want to support the video, the creator, by all means, go down. Let's read the comments as well. I almost forgot that part. Could this be your first and last analysis video? Okay, that's a bit of a dickish one. Dude made a statement so bad the community had to understart. That's pretty funny. Why do we jump to rape and not psychological manipulation? There is a... Yeah. If this was just about a video about he's an abuser, rather than a predator, completely different. He made an answer about evil about me called but library really fans were flabbergasted. Fair. Please reread the entire story stuff. I have a lot of opinions regarding this video and how it generally upsets me as someone who is a very big fan of Hellscreen and the works side of I ain't reading all that. I'm happy that for you, or sorry that sucks. This is a headcanon filling disguised as analysis. Sadly, yes. Oh boy, I can't wait to be a well thought out, intricate character with a sad backstory that brings a homage to one of the most beloved characters in the series. The Community. PM Community tries to call a character from every season challenge. When having these opposing arguments at the end of the video, just peak straw man, they pick up the strangest and most absurd arguments that nobody's backing just because they're easy to refute. Yeah, 100% this comment right here. There are no right interpretations, but there are certainly wrong ones. Back from Hell's a Force Ghost to give a pep talk to Ryoshi. Actually, Leihon came back as a Force Ghost to once again abuse Ryoshi for the last time. Do we play the same Kanto? Hang up the character analysis gang. This shit is clearly not for you. Someone lost the clan. That's the best one. That's the best comment so far. That's perfect. It pisses me off that this is the first Rion character analysis video and it's this bullshit. I'm so done. In conclusion, like, bro, holy misinterpretation. Yeah, it's just... Made his statement so bad the middle. Okay. It's crazy how Cassetti had the guts to do this vid. Yeah, I ain't reading all that. That's just... Yeah, rage bait, like... I don't know what to say. Overall... Yeah. Video's over. It's an hour 34 minutes. Let's just, let's call it there. It has been a long recording time. Final words. This is one of the videos of all time. Anyway, if you like this reaction and you want to see more reactions, please let me know. I'm down to do it. This was definitely a time. And I guess I'll catch you in the next one. Like, comment, subscribe, and stay refreshing.